So hopefully the audio is working because we did not do a test round. I always feel way bigger than you. Is that better?
You are.
Yeah, you're right. But now this looks more natural.
Yeah.
So it is Wednesday. It's Hump Day Q&A here at the it sounds so funny.
Hump Day Q&A.
Hump Day Q&A. So you guys know we go live here at High Sierra Tattoo Co. in Clovis, California. And we post on Facebook and Instagram the ability for you guys to ask some questions, and then we answer them to the best of our abilities. If you're not aware, Fel here, our lovely co-host, likes to bring wait, is this stone or a crystal? What do you call it? Stone?
The same thing.
It's a stone. She brings a gift, and it looks like clay, if you guys can see that. This is our little, how do you know you call it? It's our companion.
Stone.
It's our shaman stone. So whenever you ask a question, we're going to pass this around just for fun. I don't even know where that came from, but we just started doing it.
It's just really satisfying to hold, honestly.
Yeah,
so
it really
I like
is.
to hold it.
You guys can't hold it, but you can see it and imagine that holding this is a lot of fun.
Not.
It's actually very heavy. It's really cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to answer some of the questions you guys asked on Instagram and Facebook. If you guys have watched this before, you know some of the things that I'm trying to announce ahead of time, which is that what we're doing here is going to be doing a Q&A regular session, but hopefully taking it to YouTube probably within the next, I'd say, a few more shows on here. We're going to remain live. Let me see if I can bring this thing up here. There we go. We're going to remain live, still broadcasting live, but we're going to be doing it from YouTube. So we might do a couple more here to get you guys used to it, but make sure in the meantime you guys go to my YouTube channel, which is going to be my full name, Joshua Ray Farmer. You can look it up on YouTube and subscribe. That way that when we do go live there, which we're going to stop doing here, we can post it and you guys can comment there. You can do the same things you're doing here, interact with us, and you'll most likely have to be subscribed to be able to get notified that we're obviously live. So, Fel, thanks for joining me today on a Wednesday.
Thank you for having me for Hump Day Q&A.
Yep, here at
Are
the
you
tattoo
ready,
shop.
Josh?
I'm ready. You know what? Today I feel kind of bad because I'm like less prepared than usual. Like I didn't really think this through, and I was kind of busy all day, and then I just realized, oh yeah, today's the Q&A thing. Even though I thought about it this morning, I kind of I guess skipped my mind all day. But I have a feeling it's going to feel so natural because you guys who are watching, all two of you at the moment, and girls, you guys can comment and you can ask questions. If you didn't already ask a question on the Facebook or the Instagram post, you can ask it now. So we're going to get right into it. Without further ado, first off, you posted it. Did you get any questions? Because I know we did it last minute.
I did not post.
Okay.
I mean, I posted
Not on the
it
story.
right now for people to be able to come on here and ask questions. So if there's anybody on here that might have a question, feel free to enter it in the comments and we can see it and answer it for you.
Yes, perfect. So we did get a couple of questions. We actually got less questions this round than ever before. So I'm going to blame that on me because I didn't actually post it kind of like early enough. I did it this morning, but I didn't really build up much hype. So if you guys are watching this and you didn't get a chance to ask a question, now's the time to do it. We're going to be watching your comments and we can answer it then. But we are going to start with our first question. By the way, before we actually do, I want to let you guys know it's fun as hell for me to be able to do this because I don't necessarily get to see you. Obviously, you're watching me, but I still get to hear from you. If you guys comment and I see you on here, it's pretty cool because a lot of times I don't get to see you guys as often as I would like. And I don't always get to engage with you guys as much as I'd like to as well. Some of my clients that watch this regularly, I spend hours with you guys and then all of a sudden you're gone for 6 months or a year and I don't see you again. And so it's kind of nice. Well, it's really nice to see you guys on here, see you commenting and engaging. And it's also great for everybody else in the shop as well as everybody watching to get to know other people like Fel, for her to get to know you guys to get to know her. And then just in general, it's just cool to be able to answer questions. So that being said, ask questions. If you're in the comments, you have to ask a question. Actually, if you're watching, you have to get in the comments and ask a question.
Yes, and it doesn't look the same as if like Instagram Live. As if we were to go Instagram Live, like we can't see your guys' usernames. So if you're wondering why we haven't said hi to you, we don't know who's on right now. So feel free to just comment and say, hey.
Yep. Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. If you're watching, which you are, all three of you at the moment, comment, just say hello. And maybe a good way to do that is we'll ask you guys a question instead of you always having to ask it. Is where are you guys watching this from, and who are you? So just comment on here and we can say hello. Perfect. So Carol. So I've never tattooed Carol before, but I've messaged her back and forth a few times about it. I understand you're booked the rest of the year. Does your staff have any openings? Fel, do you want to answer that?
Our staff does have openings. Usually we can get people in with either peach or midnight within a week at the furthest, maybe 2 weeks at the longest. But yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You can make an appointment with us on our website. I think it's in the bio on your Facebook, right?
Yep. You can go to the bio on the Facebook. You can go on Instagram and see it. But either way, it's just the shop name, highsierratattooco.com. And for you, Carol, if you go there and go to the website and go to the menu, which would be the contact in the menu, just fill everything out and then we'll get back to you as soon as we can. I also like to remind people too, of course, like we have a shop here, so you can come in, you can, walk in and get to know us that way or set something up that way as well if you don't want to do it online. But either way, we can always do that. So I think that would be really cool to have you in the shop as opposed to going online. But if online's easier for you guys, then that's why the website's there. So website, go in the menu, go to the contact, fill it out, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Perfect. So yes, to your question, we definitely do have other people who are available much sooner than me. So yes, guys, ask questions here. If you're watching in the comments, ask your questions. We'll answer them in tandem with answering some of the questions we got online already. So we're going to go start with the first one, and I'm going to let Fel, here's your little magic stone. We're going to let you answer, or I'm sorry, ask the first and answer the first one.
Thank you. Okay. What's your hidden talent? And is it palming the floor?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't even have to know who sent that. That's Ian. Ian is a diehard, and I love you for that. Ian. Ian's awesome. We've talked about him, I think, every single show so far. But see, that's why. It's because he engages and he's on here talking to us, so it's pretty rad to do that. Ian, we love you. You haven't met him yet, but you're going to. Wait, did you see the dinosaur sleeve? No. Okay, it's like I'm pouring my heart and soul into it, so it's badass.
Oh.
So he's asking, what's your hidden talent? And what else?
And is it palming the floor?
So that's his hidden talent. We're not going to get into that because we've talked about that extensively previously. But what's your hidden talent? That's a good question.
What's a hidden talent of yours?
So are you going to answer it first, or you want me to?
I asked you
Okay,
first.
so you're asking that's how it should work. So where's the stone? So you ask it, and then so you're asking the questions. You hold the stone.
Yeah,
I answer, and then I take the stone. So I'm starting to figure this out. All right, hidden talents. Man, I almost want to embarrass myself immediately, but maybe there's something cool that I have. I can't really think of anything that's like hidden. I mean, I do lots of different things in terms of like hobbies and stuff, but as opposed to talents, like everybody knows I like to do voices, so that's not hidden.
I would say impersonations for
Yeah.
both of ours.
But that's not really hidden. Like I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Hidden. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm kind of an open book, and you guys get to know me for hours when you're in here, but I can't think of anything that you wouldn't know. But the first thing that comes to mind for me is simply I can lip sync like 80s pop love songs and possibly even sing them to you while
Do you
you're...
know how to ice skate?
I can ice skate, yes.
That's surprising. Not a lot of tattoo artists know how to ice skate well.
I can absolutely ice skate.
That's like surprising, like because it's so like flamboyant and feminine. Like,
It is a very, let's say,
that's a hidden
graceful.
talent. Yeah.
It's a very graceful thing.
Not a lot
But I
of
haven't
people
done
can
it
do
in
that.
a long time. Good question, good thing to bring up, because I used to ice skate in Oregon where I lived as a teenager, and the ice skating rink, you are probably too young to remember or know any of this, but there was an event that happened in the 90s, I believe it was, late 90s, where Tanya Harding and, what was her name? Tanya Harding.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Olivia. It was Tanya. If any of you guys remember on here, if it doesn't come to mind. Yeah, she walked up to, Tanya Harding walked up to this girl and she didn't. Somebody else did.
Yeah.
But they bashed her in the leg and broke her leg. And the whole joke was, why me? Well, she used to ice skate where I ice skated.
Really?
Yeah. The actual girl who was accused of,
Tanya?
Yeah.
Tanya Harding?
She was accused. And so every time we'd see her, me and my friends, we would skate to the ice skating rink with our skateboards, sit down, get our skates, and then go skate. Well, she would walk past us time to time, and we would just sit there. It was terrible, but we would just make fun of her and like hold our shins and like we were in pain, like somebody just hit us.
You're such a dick. It wasn't even her.
I know, but we were young and we were stupid.
You know the movie that came out like about it, like explaining everything that happened?
I never saw the movie, but I did hear that like it was, I know that wasn't her that did it, but I don't know the details. I just remember she used to come to the place that I ice skated, Tanya Harding did, and we used to make fun of her, and we were just young punk kids.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. And she was pissed.
Crazy though.
She was pissed.
Yeah.
She was very mad. So ice skating.
Like, that was a really big incident.
It was huge, and I was surprised that she didn't get more mad because we did it to her all the time.
She got it a lot.
Yeah, she's probably used to it.
She they had her I watched the movie and they did have clips of the real her talking about how she just got used to it and she just like didn't really let people bother.
So anybody watching this wondering if I was an asshole when I was a kid, or also an asshole when I was also a kid? Yes, I was. I'm sure my father could attest for that. Okay, so we have another question. Wait, but you got to answer it too, though. So,
I would say impersonations too.
Your hidden talent? You do impersonations. Well, you've been here for weeks now. What's up? I haven't seen a single one. You don't have to do one, but tell us one. I mean, unless you want to do it. Oh, I did hear you do that. Yeah. Because somebody walked in and like.
I can do a Minnie Mouse.
Okay.
Or Mickey Mouse. Both.
I mean, look,
Donald Duck.
Guys. Did you guys hear that? Okay.
I could be a voice actor.
You do know that I'm going to like take little cuts of this and put it like individually as like small videos out, and that's going to have to be one of them. So thank you very much for that. That was awesome.
Gosh.
That's so great. So we're going to hear some voices apparently from Fel.
Zoom in on me and it's going to be all slow motion.
I'm going to definitely make it over dramatized for sure. No doubt. No doubt. It looks like people are commenting. So before we answer this next question.
Hello, Gaia.
Yes, we can say hello. And hi. Gia.
Oh, Gia. I'm sorry.
But that's how I would have thought to have pronounced it too. But it's Gia. She's absolutely wonderful. You'll probably meet her someday.
Hey, Gia.
Gia's watching. She's in town, so we maybe do get to see her. Awesome. Yes, you should come in. I'm not going to be here on the weekend. I don't think this weekend I'll be here, but you should come in during the week, Gia, if you're still here in town tomorrow or Friday. So yes, absolutely, that would be cool. So she does voices too. Yes, Tiffany is probably pretty pumped about that because I know I am. So yes. Wait, now she does voices too. I need both of you to answer that, please.
Oh, what's your favorite voice that you do?
Oh,
and the overly used or abused voice of choice.
Yeah. Jeez. That's a hard one.
My favorite is definitely an Australian impersonation. What I'm tired of is Minnie Mouse.
That's a hard one. And you're doing it.
Oh boy. Oh boy, Minnie.
This is great. That was actually really fucking good. That's awesome. That's really cool. I think you should do one of these Q&As literally just in that voice. They would have no idea why you're doing it, but they would watch for sure.
Okay, sounds good.
That's really great.
I just got here yesterday.
So she's definitely rocking and rolling with the voices. I think we should just do this. No more Q&A. We're just going to do impersonations. What do you guys think?
What's your favorite voice to do? And what's the really used one
Scottish.
For you? Your favorite song?
Yes. I mean, it's not obviously a character, but it's, whatever the dialect or an impersonation. I like to do the Scottish one. That's my favourite. It makes me feel great. It really does.
Great.
That's right. I'm from the Highlands up north. That's right. It's not a skirt, it's a kilt. Anyways, so that's my favorite one. I don't know if that sounds good at all.
That sounds funny.
It's like my favorite. I'll get stuck in it and do it for hours. Yeah, it happens. So Gia, yes, I see you on here still, and you do have to come and say hello. So that would be really great because she just got here yesterday. So Tiffany, thank you for bringing that up. So now you know, mine is Scottish and yours is Australian.
Do you have one, Tiffany?
Yeah. Tiffany, do you have a voice that what's your go-to? All right, so we're going to do the next question. And let's see, it's also from Ian. Without Ian, we wouldn't have a show, if you guys are wondering. Like, thank you, Ian. You keep us alive. Do you prefer doing color or black and white tattoos? So I got to ask you that.
I definitely get more excited about color, but I'm more comfortable with black and white tattoos. But technically, I'm not doing tattoos at the shop yet. Just working on fake skin. So that's my opinion. What about you, Josh?
So, do I prefer doing color or black? I'll be honest, my first answer is black for sure. Like black and gray makes me super happy. There's something about the simplicity of just having essentially, one shade, one tone to use, and then just watering it down to get your desired tones after that. It's so simple. It's not a whole lot of thought put into it. You're really just dealing with darks and lights. So it really helps to focus on like the shadows, because you could turn a color picture into black and white, and it's very boring if it's not meant to be black and white. So you have to bring up the contrast, you have to bring up the details and some of the shadows, and take out some of the highlights so that the remaining highlights are more important, or at least more dominant. So there's something about using an image that's black and gray that just is really, really satisfying. If I could just do one tattoo forever, it would just be black and gray portraits of characters, people, or actors, actresses, famous people, any sort of character, but even people's loved ones and family members is fun. So I would say black and gray. Yeah, I don't even think it's a close choice. Color is something I was kind of getting used to and getting good at, so people kept asking for it a lot. But as I get older, it's something about the truth is it might be a laziness, I'm not sure, but it's just setting up is so simple for black and gray. It's so much more economical, I guess you could say. And so there's some sort of like, as an artist, there's like a relief that I have when I get to do black and gray, that I don't have to think about all this complexity. All this complexity just kind of starts to not be overwhelming, but it takes more effort. So something about the black and gray just kind of puts me at ease. It's almost like really kind of therapeutic in a way, I guess, black and gray. So that's what I would say I prefer for sure.
I can definitely see how it's satisfying.
It is. I think that might be a surprise to some people too, because I've been doing color for so long and got good enough at it that people loved it and want so much of it that I get asked to do that more than I do black and gray. But I do prefer black and gray for sure. This is a good one. I like this one. This is great.
Are you guys ready for this one?
Yep, here we go.
Most awkward client? Question mark. Who was your most awkward client?
It's really hard to answer that, because there's like a general awkward client. Like in general, there's this sort of like personality type that's very awkward, and it's just the people who want to get tattooed but don't talk. Like they don't say what they want. They're like, yeah, I want to get this. And they kind of have like these really awkward pauses. And you're trying to like ask them what it is they want so you can design something, and they don't really give you much.
They're like, but can we not do it like that?
Yeah, but different. I like that, but not.
But like, it's just not like symmetrical.
Yeah. And then they didn't even, that's exactly how it'd be too. They wouldn't even say they want something like geometric or symmetrical or something like that. But then when you make them something, you almost have to start with just something and let them pick it apart to eventually come up with something, because they need to be able to see it to bounce off of, and kind of give you their input. Yeah. And it can be very awkward, but that's just in terms of art and designing. Tattooing them is fine. Once you come up with an image, they just are quiet, sit there and take it. So this could be a good question. It's a loaded question. Most awkward client ? But I'm going to let you now answer that.
I can answer that.
Answer it however you like.
Most awkward client.
Just remember, we're live.
This is when I was tattooing at my house. I tattooed one of my ex-flings, and he just didn't talk the entire time, but it wasn't no part of it was he wasn't satisfied during any of it. It was just
maybe he was trying to make it weird.
Yeah, that was my most awkward client. But honestly, that's what I get for opening up my home.
Yeah, for sure.
I will never do that again.
Yeah, it's a very risky thing for sure. Yeah, because you're trying to do it professional, but it's not a very professional thing to do, and then people take advantage of it too for that reason. Whereas if you have a shop, I can definitely contest to this, but when you open a shop, people obviously treat it a lot more different, and it's better. Although it doesn't cure all awkwardnesses, it's still there. But yeah, I think of all kinds of clients. Like, it's a fun conversation because I think of a lot of clients that are awkward. But sometimes it's the way, it's not necessarily the person, it's just how we react to them. Like, maybe there's just some sort of personality differences that are hard to reconcile.
Yeah.
But the quiet ones, like, I get those a lot. It's like these people that just can't quite get sometimes anything out. And I mean that, like, they'll come in and ask for a tattoo and be like, I want a tattoo. I'm like, what are you thinking about getting? Well, I have a couple of ideas. I'm like, okay. And then they're like getting their phone out and showing me, their designs, but they'll show me a couple, and then I'll say, so you want to do, it's like a picture of a bunch of stuff. Like, you want to do that as like a sleeve or a back piece? And they're like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know what it is you want, but I'll do my best to pick your brain.
You're like, what were you hoping for?
Yeah, but I think I should have actually thought about this question like ahead of time, because I think there's probably some definitely more awkward clients than just the quiet ones.
I've had a really, really awkward situation in my old tattoo shop, but it was kind of inappropriate.
Yeah, so that's kind of where my first thought went, but I'm like, do I really want to? I mean, I don't have to embarrass anybody specific, but
we won't use any
there's
names.
a lot of that.
We don't have to use any names.
Yeah, we don't have to use names.
Okay, so
if you're willing,
yeah.
throw yourself on the fire.
Okay, so I was supposed to tattoo. It was actually the same girl that I did the Cheshire cat right here. It was that piece, and she had decided to come intoxicated, and that was something that my old shop allowed for some reason. And I was learning, so I wasn't opposed. I just wanted skin to work on. But she was being really problematic and movie towards like halfway in, to where like I couldn't even really fully get in and be able to work on my piece. And she asked if I could use, or if she could use my phone because her phone had died, so she could call for her ride. So I'm like, oh yeah, sure.
That's a terrible idea.
So she goes on to my Snapchat and then video calls this old TikTok group chat that I used to be a part of with a bunch of other influencers and stuff. And she starts like moaning to them and like
that's awkward.
Like trying to like sext phone call with them, like, I'm sorry, but we are done with the session. Give me my phone.
Weird. That's strange.
I like grabbed my phone out of her hands. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to assist you outside of the room.
Yeah, that's really
for the
creepy.
rest of the session.
It actually reminds me of an awkward client. And
she was like rubbing herself too, and like all. Yeah.
Yeah, that I've literally had situations where, well, I won't go down that rabbit hole, but I mean, there's a lot of situations regarding things sort of similar to that I've been in. I've been doing it for so long that, I've been on so many, pretty much any kind of scenario you could think of for the most part. But I had a lady I was tattooing one time, and she didn't really speak very good English necessarily, so it was hard to communicate with her. Mm-hmm. And when I would tattoo her, you would have thought that I was doing something completely different than tattooing. And people were walking in to the session, they'd come to say hi or something because it was like 4 or 5 hours. And the sounds she was making, they would walk in and be like, hey, Josh, and then kind of give me this like, what the hell are you guys doing back there? And so then they would come and see. I was literally just, tattooing, I think it was part of her leg. And the sounds she was making, I'm like, this is kind of embarrassing. I almost wanted to record it. So I was actually signaling to my friend who did walk in. He walked in and saw it. And I told him, like, dude, get your phone out. Like, I didn't know how to say it without like interrupting her, but I'm like, you should be recording this. This is insane. Like, she was, I mean, it really sounded like absolutely I was doing something completely different than tattooing her. And I thought she was kidding. Yeah, I probably shouldn't even say it because it gives up too much information. But she took a phone call in the middle of the session and went straight into like, well, she was speaking a different language, but she went straight into a normal conversation during the tattoo on the phone, totally unaffected. And then she hung up the phone and immediately went back into this like moaning session. I'm like,
you're like, how did you do that?
That was really bipolar.
You're like, you had that mental capacity for like that long.
Yeah, so
for 30,
she was either fucking
seconds.
with me, or that's just how she deals with pain. Which God bless her heart for that. I'm not going to complain, but it was. I'm not going to lie, it was awkward. It was very, very weird. So that was an awkward client for sure. And who asked that? That was most awkward client. That was Sadie Doll. Sadie asked that. So I'm going to rephrase my answer then. Sadie, you're the most awkward client. I love you, but you're awkward. She knows this already. We're both awkward. She's weird. She's weird. Gosh, I'm not even going to start telling stories. Sadie, you're awesome, but you're awkward. So you're my most awkward client. I'm just going to give you that award. So we have a couple other questions. Actually, I think we have one other question.
Two.
We have two other questions. Carson's back on here.
Hi, Carson.
Carson, I need to talk to you. So if you're on here, stay on here for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and look at this other question. Oh, technically it wasn't a question. I guess it kind of is a question. I'll read it since it's towards me. So Bard asked, ready for me, pal, ? Need something new. So Bard, if you're watching this, I know we had a couple of appointments that you weren't able to make, so you can't blame me for that. But when things come up, I promise we'll get you in. I know you don't do necessarily large things, huge tattoos, but we'll find something for you, pal. So just hang tight. You message me often, and I appreciate it, but we'll get you in. Bard is awesome, and I should note he brings me, allegedly, in a foreign alternate universe, he brings me moonshine every year that allegedly is really good. So I really like Bard in this alternate universe. That would be rad if he did that again in an alternate universe. So
it might be rad if I tried some in that alternate universe.
It's
too.
pretty. You know what though? One time I got allegedly got moonshine from somebody. May or may not have been Bard. And he's gonna block me now from Facebook. He's like, "That wasn't me." And it was in just a water bottle, like a clear water bottle, and moonshine is like perfectly clear. Well, somebody dumped it out. It was a whole bottle of it. It was, which is a ton, and somebody dumped it out because they thought it was an undrank water bottle, and I didn't even think about that somebody was gonna empty it. So they allegedly poured out my moonshine, and I was heartbroken.
No,
so
when?
That was last year, Christmas-ish time.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really sad. You're all, fuck, I hope it wasn't me. It wasn't you. No, it was way before you were here. So you're off the hook there.
Okay, good. I'm like, because I do that.
Yeah. So somebody else is asking a question. Do you want to take it away?
Is your go-to either coil or rotary machine, Josh?
My go-to is easily a rotary pen. Man, I know people immediately, if they were listening to this, would be like, Josh switched over. He's a traitor. They call it loyal to the coil. I am definitely not loyal to the coil. For you guys listening, actually, I'm going to show them. I'm going to give them an example. I'm going to get some. So
it's easiest to show them.
Why don't you answer that too while I grab these?
I also have a rotary. I find that it hurts less for the patient or the client. And that's just what I started off with. So I don't know any different.
So for you guys wondering that aren't tattooers or haven't been tattooed enough to know, we will show you and demonstrate the difference between coils and rotaries. So Carson's asking if I prefer either coils or rotaries. The reason why I prefer rotaries is really simple, and that's what this machine here is. They call it a rotary because there's just a motor literally that spins inside of it, like a rotary motor, and then that drives the needle up and down. So all you have to do is plug this in and put a needle in it, you go to town. Whereas a coil, which I'll explain in a second, is much more complicated. You're putting this together. It's almost like tuning up a VW Bug every time you want to get in it and drive to the beach. It's going to need some love, which is still fun, still awesome, and very nostalgic, but also very useful. I should also mention, too, this is Eddie Munster's machine. This is the Frankenstein liner that he built, custom. It's probably not going to focus on it. You can see Frankenstein on there. This is my coffin machine, which I absolutely love. I absolutely love Eddie. He's probably not watching this, but I'll probably tag him in this so I can let him know I mentioned his machine. So he still builds these. I don't know if he's as into it anymore, but these things are rad. They're bulletproof. They're heavy, which I actually like. You would think that the weight you'd want lighter, but I actually prefer a heavier machine. I also have bigger hands. But anyway, this is a setup. Like you really got to do some work to get these things going. Whereas this thing, it's like driving a Honda. This is the best way to say it. This is like driving a Honda and going across country. This is like driving a VW and going on a trip with your friends, but you know you're going to break down, so you got to bring tools. It's exactly what these are like. And they run exactly like that too. This thing purrs and is quiet, and this thing is going to let you know it's on. Yeah, exactly. You just pretty much nailed it. She is more talented than we realize. We're going to figure that out through these shows. So I prefer this, and this is the rotary for you watching, for you guys watching that don't know. I prefer it just because I want to think about the tattoo. I don't want to think about the tool. I'm not one of those loyal to the coil kind of people, which if you guys don't know, the reason they call these coils is because these two parts here are actually coils wrapped around a post, which creates a magnetic field, which drives the machine, but that's not what this show's about. But that's just a little bit information, whereas this is literally just, well, it's complicated, but it's all in one package. You just plug it in and go.
Put the battery at the very bottom. Put the needle right there.
And you're ready.
Good to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good to
you're
go.
right. Actually, it's awesome. Whereas this, you have, well, you can put a battery on this. Technically, I have one of these with an adapter I made. So I can put a battery on this, but still when you hook up the needle and you hook up all the parts, it's just, there's still a ton to do. There's rubber bands, there's adjustments, there's moving parts. It is.
I'm like, whoa.
That's why I love it. Yeah, I stole that grip
My
from Peach.
small hand could never.
Yeah, this is a bigger grip. This is the Gorilla grip because, well, I got big hands and I still wrap the shit out of it.
I know. I'm like, he wraps his grip so big. It's like that.
Yeah, huge difference.
Yeah.
So
I use a small grip.
yeah, yours would be like literally just the size of this, not this Gorilla grip.
Yeah.
But
But rotary is easier overall. And how do you feel about the statement that I made about it hurting less?
I do believe that's true, and I think a lot of people have found that, and there's a good reason why that would be true, is these operate off of a magnetic field that pulls down an armature bar, which makes the needle puncture your skin. And if you've ever heard these things, they scream like banshees. So what you're hearing is metal parts doing this really fast, 3,000 times a minute or so. And so that vibration gets translated through the needle. And when the needle touches your skin, that vibration, it's not just a needle hitting, it's also vibrating and hitting. So it's agitating. So
Yeah.
I do think, now I'm saying that loosely because it's kind of give or take a little. That does create a little more, I think, irritation, but it's also not just the machine running, it's the way these run. These can really lay down some serious lines because of the way you can adjust them, whereas these are a lot trickier. They're a little softer. You have to be a little more, well, you have to change your sort of style a little bit to be able to line with something like these. I hate lining with these, but they do work. I love lining with these, but I don't like the work that it takes to get them running. So I'll stick to these for now. And it's the future anyway. This is what everybody's going to start using. They're quiet. They don't buzz. You plug and play. As the industry advances and more people enter it, they're going to want something simple like this. They don't want to be a mechanic and figure this out. I should mention too, Carson, because I know you have started tattooing. By the way, side note for anybody watching, these are not guns. These are machines. So whenever you call them a gun, a tattoo artist cringes. What's that? There's like a fairy. Like every time you say something, a fairy dies. What is that? Is there like a saying like that or something? Like every time you say you don't believe a fairy dies or some shit. That's what happens to a tattoo artist. He dies inside a little bit when you call these guns. They're machines.
Guns kill, machines make art.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, Carson, for you asking about the coil or the rotary, I do think it's a staple and I think it's a must to learn this. I think you should absolutely, engage with the coil machines because it's going to teach you a ton. You can understand the mechanics of something like this because they're all moving parts you can see, whereas this is all internal, so you don't quite understand the mechanisms if you skip the coil. But if you understand the coil, then you can even break apart these and understand how these work, which I think is necessary. Although I do think, shoot me, I don't want to die on this hill, but I do think it's going to be a dying thing. I think it's going to be a nostalgic thing, and I think eventually it'll be like a record player who use it for fun. Some people probably strongly disagree, but it'll be more for just traditional artists lining and people who want to stay loyal to it.
My first and only tattoo is the only one that has been used with a coil.
Really?
And it's this one.
That's trippy because most all mine have been coils my whole life. Actually, I don't think I've ever been tattooed by rotary except for the girls here. But anytime I've gone to a shop, I've always had coils my whole life.
Hi, Amanda. Amanda's on.
Amanda, what's up?
Hi.
Hello, peeps. So Carson, if that answers your question thoroughly, why don't you tell me what you think? What do you think in general about rotaries and coils, and what is your quote unquote go-to? Is he asking right on the new age of tattoos? Yes. So that's kind of what I was saying, is the rotary is new technology, and people fought it for a long time. Not everybody, but a lot of the old school dudes fight it. I understand it too. I like to think of these machines as like vape pens in a way. Every time I see somebody sucking on a vape pen, to me it's embarrassing. They just look silly. They look stupid, but that's because I'm an old dude and vaping is new in that regard. And it just looks funny when somebody's sucking on something and then blowing, like you have a grown ass man, sucking on some little, we call robot penises. And then they're blowing out banana flavored smoke vape, whatever. It's whatever. You do you, but it's hard to look at that and take somebody seriously when they're doing it. That's kind of what these are to some artists. It's similar. So I hate to say it, but it's just true.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works. It's just old people not letting go.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I think it's just more so the older generation of tattoo artists, but that's what I learned on, so that's all I know.
Yeah.
I don't know any different.
Well, the thing is too about it, and this is why I think it's important when I'm teaching tattooing, or even talking about it, while I like to bring these up, is because, the first tattoo machine, the first electric tattoo machine, wasn't much different than this. Actually, it was the first machines developed. It's kind of like a car engine. Car engines really, for the most part, with small variations, but for the most part have almost been completely unchanged since they developed them, over 100 years ago. Car engines pretty much run the same way as they have always ran, just with more technology. That's kind of what these are. They're like the engine for cars. They keep going. But they also have a lot of history, and they're very nostalgic, but they're also just great tools that work really, really well. I think there's something about moving parts, hard parts, and having something that's made with, it's kind of like when people say they don't make things anymore out of metal or everything's plastic. Well, that's what these are. These are all metal. There's no plastic on here. These things run like tanks, and there's something, really cool for a tattoo artist who's basically somebody who makes things by hand, right? A tattoo artist, and a handcrafted sort of industry. It's really cool to have something that is handcrafted, making your handcrafted tattoos. So like this, for example, Eddie made this whole machine, everything he made on here himself. He wrapped the coils. I believe he builds the armature bars. If not, he definitely builds the frames and assembles obviously all his components. And it's a damn good machine. Like, I've rocked this thing for years, so I can vouch for that. And Eddie Munster is the builder. He's an awesome dude. So it's fun to use a friend's machine to, earn your living and create awesome images.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun.
I agree.
Whereas this,
that is really awesome.
I mean, there's no nostalgia. There's never going to be nostalgia to this.
Yeah.
This is like the Honda that I said before, that you drive across country, and then when it's done and the miles are done, you throw it away. So I'll miss that about the coils.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So this is me getting romantic, guys. I'll miss the coil, but see, the thing is, it's still here. And you're never going to throw these away. Like, you don't throw these away.
Yeah.
Even when they go to shit, you just replace the parts. This goes to shit, and you don't replace the parts. Typically, you just throw them away. There's some parts you can exchange. For the most part, when they wear out, they're done. So it's kind of nice to have, still the nostalgic nature of coils and whatnot. All right, he's got a long response. So I'm going to try to read that. Carson, wonderful. I love rotaries. My go-to is a CNC Q2. I've attempted to use coils on fake skin, but had a hard time tuning for the correct cycles per second and whatnot. Yes, they are. They're like tuning up a Volkswagen to try to go to the beach. It takes, you absolutely have to have somebody teach you how to maintain and operate these. This is not just something you pick up and start using. You could really fuck somebody up. And it's just a totally different beast. So anybody, and again, that's why there's a lot of sort of negativity towards this within some circles. Anybody can just pick this up and start tattooing. You don't actually have to know anything about it. You just plug shit in and start going. So the rest of your comment, plus the coil I used was a pretty cheap coil, which definitely sucks. You don't want to do that. So I'm not sure if the different well-made coils or what the differences they make, but I do feel like coil is something you should learn from for the sake of the tattooing, for tattooing started and how far it's gone, or for where it started. Not to mention the coil machines, new and old, are just beautiful to collect. The craftsmanship goes into them. The craftsmanship that goes into them is amazing. So that's exactly right. And that's why they're awesome. And just feel this. Do me a favor. Feel this in one hand and feel this. And you can just tell, like,
I don't like that.
right. There's just
Already.
just something that's
it doesn't fit my hand either. So it's just,
something's wrong with it.
I just feel like I'm gripping like one of those really big pencils, you know?
Like the cartoon
Like,
sized
yeah,
ones.
those really big ones that you try to win at the like book fair.
Yes, I love those things. That's how big I wanted my ears to be stretched when I was younger. It was big enough to put one of those through them. Those big pencils.
I'm nervous to get my tongue pierced tomorrow.
Are you? You're excited to get your tongue pierced. You're not nervous.
I'm excited.
You're
You're right.
excited.
You're right.
So, but you see how that feels? It feels like a machine, something somebody
Yeah.
made. Like,
Yeah,
well, it is something
it
somebody made.
is.
So there's a lot of respect for it. There's a lot
It's
of
beautiful though.
yeah. There's a lot of
I like
craftsmanship.
the Frankensteins.
Yeah. So Eddie, if you're still making machines and you're watching this or you hear this, or I'll
is
just
rad.
send you this clip. I've
I
been
want one.
waiting. I've been wanting a set of coils because I do need new coils for my machines. Because I have Munster, the monster, right? That's his name. It's not Frankenstein.
The monster.
So in case you guys didn't know that, I know this is not going to focus on it, but this is not Frankenstein. Frankenstein's the doctor. This is the monster.
Frankenstein's
That's his
monster.
name, is the monster. That's the closest to a name you get. And so the Bride of Frankenstein always confused me because if it's the Bride of Frankenstein, is it the Bride of the Doctor? Because it should be the Bride of the Monster. Riddle me this, riddle me that. But anyway, I want a set of coils with some of my favorite people on them, which is someone who looks like Frankenstein. His name is Doyle. He's the guitarist for the Misfits. Was the guitarist for the Misfits, and his girlfriend, which has a really cool story behind it because they met because of my kids. Anyway, so they're now together. I think they're married now. But anyway, Alyssa is his at least fiance for sure, and they're madly in love. And she's this beautiful young rock and roll star, and he's this older guy that looks like Frankenstein and smashes on guitar. And so instead of these two, Frankenstein and the bride, I want Doyle and Alyssa. So I just thought it'd be cool. So anyway, if you guys don't know who that is, look up Doyle from the Misfits. The dude's a monster, and I think he
Doyle.
belongs on my machine for sure. So I did tell this to Eddie a long time ago. He just never did it. All right, guys, we didn't have a lot of questions this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to double check that no new ones have been submitted.
I'll double check too.
But you guys need to ask them. If you had them, now's the time to ask them before we sign off. So I'm going to go ahead and check the post that I made and see if there was any new questions. So there is not. So we have technically answered, even though 200 people saw that question, only 4 people asked it on the Instagram. So we did answer technically all of your guys' questions. And I think we did good.
I think we did too. Nobody asked any on my Snapchat either.
Yeah. So
Unless you guys have any more questions.
Yeah, if you guys have any more questions, you're on here and you're watching, you want to ask something, go ahead. But I have to also say this, Carson. So we obviously talked about machines, but I think talking about tattooing regarding, kind of stemming off the machine conversation is important because I know you've started tattooing and you're not necessarily doing what's considered like an informal apprenticeship. And, I'm not the person to talk you into it or not, or tell you you're doing something right or not. But I will say this, Carson, for just a little side note. Trying to learn this stuff, it's kind of like, in a way, use this as like a metaphor. This machine is hard to use, and if nobody teaches you how to use it and you're just looking up shit on YouTube, you're going to be lost for a really long time. You absolutely need somebody who knows what they're doing to show you the ropes. That being said, it's not really one of those things people just give away for free. It's something you're going to have to earn, so that's hence the reason why a formal apprenticeship comes in. But as a metaphor, in that sense, with this machine, that's how the industry is as well. And there's all kinds of information online. You can learn a ton. But I really think that the best way, absolutely hands down, I don't think it, I know it, is to learn from a professional. It's just always not just the right way. It's if you want to get good at something, it's the way. So you need somebody who's proficient at it to show you the ropes. And to do that, nobody's going to just say, hey, come by an hour a week and I'll just teach you everything I know. You're going to have to earn it. The only alternative to that is doing it on your own. And I really think it's like being blindfolded and hands tied behind your back. And you'll be taking years and years to get where you could be in maybe 6 months if you had somebody who knew what they were doing. Now, that's up to you. That's up to the individual, of course, because 100%, you know, some people are doing it because it's a hobby. Some people do it because it's their side thing, or they just want to dabble or whatever it is. But if you ever want to take it serious and go somewhere with it, you want to feed your family on this skill, or at least, see what you're made of and go the long run, you 100% absolutely have to learn from somebody. It's just going to take way too long. It's so inefficient to be figuring it out on your own. So I had to say that, Carson, because I've seen some of the tattoos you do, and it seems to me like you're learning by yourself, and it's really cool to see that. But at the same time, just know that, your hands are kind of tied behind your back and you're blindfolded, trying to go forward if it's something you want to take serious. But other than that, rock on, have fun, enjoy your life, do what makes you happy. I mean that with in a non-condescending way. But you do you and enjoy it, because the industry is awesome. Tattooing is awesome. And I know how it feels to do something and get excited about it when you're new and you're just going all in and figuring it out yourself. It's exciting. So either way, I wish you nothing but the best. And thank you for asking questions. We can pretty much count on you for being on here when we go live, and that's pretty rad. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. So I haven't got any more questions for you guys. We've answered all of them. I will remind you and beat this drum until it happens that we're going to be moving this to YouTube. So I think it's going to be a couple more lives here and letting you guys know in the meantime that we're going to move this show to YouTube. So we're going to be going live there, and my YouTube channel is my name, Joshua Ray Farmer. You guys can find it pretty easily. Just search it up. I'm assuming that if you don't subscribe that you're not going to see the notification that we're going live, but we're probably still going to notify everybody on Instagram and Facebook like the day of, before we go live, and give them a chance to ask questions. So either way, you'll know we're there, but subscribing is probably the only way you're really going to get notified elsewhere in terms of whether or not we go live or when we go live. So yeah, he says I'm intimidated by gray wash. But dude,
some fake skin soon, see what happens. Do it.
Yeah. Fake skin, dude, I'm surprised I used it for the first time the other day. And I will tell you this, you should be able to create better art on fake skin than you can on real skin. So practice with that stuff first. It's nothing really like real skin, but it'll teach you the art and the hand control. You can absolutely just look it up online. You'll see what people make with their fake skin images and stuff. And it's really impressive. So you should be able to stretch that, pun intended, really far. Like you should have no problem making really badass stuff on fake skin. Traditional stuff's a little harder, like bold lines and whatnot, but black and gray and realism, yeah, dude, you have no excuses but to try on it, because it's really useful. What do you think, Phil?
I don't have a whole lot of experience with the fake skin yet.
Your day is coming.
But go for it.
Yeah, your day is coming.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the appropriate way to learn. Me and Phil have talked about this already, because I am teaching her what I know. But starting first with fake skin, of course, is important, because there's always a potential to harm other people as well as yourself in dealing with needles and blood. So it's really good to start with fake skin first to get that hand control down, to get the eye-hand coordination. And also, you might as well make mistakes on something that's not permanent than on a human. So
yeah, you don't want to impale someone.
Yeah, and you don't want to poke yourself. I mean, like literally, you don't want to poke yourself with somebody else's needle, and you don't want to poke them with a needle you've poked yourself with. You don't want the inception needle to happen. That's not a good thing. So, and being intimidated by gray wash is not also uncommon, because when you have color, you have everything you can use at your disposal to make something look great. And you can adjust with it as well. When you have black and gray, you have one thing diluted with water that you get to use. So your tools are very minimal. But that's also why I like it. I think that's fun. Phil, how do you think it went?
I think it went great.
We answered everybody's questions.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for jumping on here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Anybody's asked a question, thank you very much. Let us know if there's anything we can improve, because this is new for us, but let us know if there's anything we can do that you guys are interested in that might help make it more informational or even just entertaining for you guys. We're going to be on here doing this weekly. We're going to be, again, posting the questions on Instagram and Facebook on our story. And then if we're live, you guys can absolutely engage with us like right now, and feel free to do so if you have any questions. But I look forward to doing this every week. It actually is very fun for me. And I appreciate you guys.
Every Wednesday, every hump day.
Every hump day. Yes, I hump day Q&A. That's exactly it for sure. Yeah, and Nora, before I go, Nora, what's up? Tell the old man I said hello. The best way to learn something new is by shadowing a master in the art. And she's dash, in my opinion. Yeah, and your opinion is correct. So it's a good answer. Yeah, it's not, even though that's your opinion, it is also very correct. So aside from it being an opinion, it's a fact that's the best way to learn. Mozart didn't become Mozart by dabbling with the piano. He had masters. He learned from people. Picasso and everybody else.
I know how to play the piano too. That's a hidden talent.
There you go. Another hidden talent. Could you play the piano while doing voices?
Oh, that would probably be overwhelming. Probably not.
I think you could, though. I think if you gave it time, like a Mickey Mouse song and sing it. Oh, that would be amazing.
Probably.
Hidden talents. Hidden talents. So yeah, shadowing a master, that's 100% right. Show me anybody who's really great at something who just figured it out all by themselves. They're absolutely lying to you, or they're just misinformed with their experience, meaning they learn from somebody. Everybody has to learn from somebody. You're not going to get great at anything figuring it out by yourself. Either way, you're not going to figure out anything by yourself. You're going to have to look things up, read, research, and that's learning from somebody. Yeah. By reading, researching, asking questions. You can learn from people that are dead already. They've written books. People have made seminars. They've recorded videos that are already long gone. And so, you can learn from people that aren't even here anymore. It's one of the questions I got recently was, are you self-taught? And my response in its simplest form was, there's no such thing as self-taught, because all of us have to learn from others. And, if you want to be great, you really do have to stand on the backs of giants. None of us are forging anything new. We're just using old things in a new way. And so I think it's important to learn from somebody so you can expedite that process and not waste 6 years doing something you could have done in 6 weeks or 6 months. And making simple mistakes and them becoming habits, and now so hard to break because you wanted it quick and easy at first instead of hard and slow at first. You wanted it, one of those, what do they say, the quick results or whatever, the right here, right now, sort of whatever. It's totally slipping my head, but
slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, and it is true. Instead of immediate gratification is not going to work. If you want to master or get good at something, you absolutely have to take your time and learn. And it's not learn the slow way; it's learn the correct way. 100%.
But I feel like tattooing, once you do get to that point of tattooing, it is a form of instant gratification once you do see your art on somebody. But it is a process. You're not gonna get there overnight.
You got to earn that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely have to earn that. I mean, that's definitely true. And I think even for me growing up, in the wanting to be a tattoo artist or just at least an artist in general and get paid doing it, or at least regardless, I just wanted to make really great images. I wanted to make awesome stuff, whether it was on paint, paper, pencil, tattooing, and trying to think that there was some sort of, especially when I was young, truth be told, I figured there was some new alternate route nobody had figured out, and I'm gonna do it my way. Right? There's that whole arrogance to it, and I think a lot of people have that, if not everybody, until you get maybe. So what I did was I worked so hard at it, and I tried so hard, and I focused so much on it that what I did is I found years and years later, I had needlessly wasted so much time by trying to think that I'm going to be some pioneer treading some new way instead of, and not that's not okay, that's okay, but not at first, that's not okay. You're not going to be a pioneer at first. You got to learn the skills and the tools and the talents that you have first and sharpen all of those before you can start breaking rules or trailblazing something. You're not a trailblazer at the beginning. You have to wait first until you have those tools and skills in place, and then you can start learning how to not just break the rules, but expand them and open the horizons of your potential. But you don't do that at the beginning, and I think that's a mistake. What's for sure a mistake I made, and I hope that's something I translate to you guys too, in learning this, that that's really, really important to understand.
Yeah.
Really important, because if you try to skip it and you think there's some other way, you're just simply wrong. But once you've earned that position, again, then you can start, not necessarily arrogance, but then you can start getting your confidence out and saying, hey, how can we stretch this and push it differently, and maybe show the world new things. But you have to figure out the basics first.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of like being a sports star. So it's an easier way to understand this. Or let's say a bodybuilder. Before you can start talking about the elite level, you have to do like the meat and potatoes first. Like you have to do the foundational shit first.
You gotta stretch before you run, you know.
You gotta stretch.
Just like that.
You got to do you got to do a lot before you can start the elite level stuff. So you got to understand that.
You gotta stretch. Gotta put your shoes on. Gotta get some water.
Yep, you got to get some water, and you got to put the years in. You absolutely have to put the time in. If you don't put the time in, you can't expect to be far. And again, Carson, if you're still watching this, I'm not necessarily directing any of that towards you, but what I could direct towards you, since you have been tattooing, is exactly that. The effort and the input is proportional to the output. So whatever you're putting into something, you'll get out of it. And a lot of times, if you're doing something for the right reasons, this might sound a little hippie, but if you're doing things for the right reasons and you're doing it correctly, I think what you actually get out of it is tenfold. It's not proportional to what you put in; it's disproportional to what you put in. So if you put in the time and the effort and the focus, like people argue all the time, whether or not it's important to work hard or work smart. Well, here's the thing: if you want to just work hard and I'll work smart, and somebody else wants to work hard and smart, they're going to beat us both every single time. So you got to do it all. And when you start earning that and start putting in that blood, sweat, and tears for a long period of time, I actually think it disproportionately pays you. It's kind of how it starts out. If you could say it in a mathematical sort of sense, you could say that at the beginning, you're disproportionately losing by spending so much time doing something that's giving you almost zero return, maybe pleasure, but you're not getting anything out of it. And you're going to do that for years. And then eventually you'll be like, fuck, I'm never going to make money. I've poured 18 hours a day into this for 5 years. How am I going to make that money back or get that time back? Well, the answer is you're not. You've paid your dues in that sense if you've done it right. And then eventually you disproportionately, you disproportionately get rewarded in the future for the hard work you've done previously, working hard, working smart, and working long hours. Otherwise, you can't expect to be great at anything. It's nobody out there is some special dude or chick that is just going to discover that she can tattoo and then all of a sudden she's just amazing. Anybody who you think has done that, you're wrong. You look deeper into it. They've been pouring so much effort into these things, and that's always going to be true. That's something that a lot of people forget about. Me as a teenager completely denied and took way too long to do things that could have been done in a short amount of time. But I learned that so that you guys don't have to. I did that the hard way so that you guys won't have to. So that's pretty rad.
So Carson asks, maybe I missed it in a previous Q&A session, but is there any spot on the body we refuse to tattoo?
No, not necessarily. But face and heads aren't something we do often enough because we don't get that request. I think it's just the kind of part of town we live in. So therefore, we're not, as a shop, we're not really experienced with it. So it's not something we do. So we usually, send people elsewhere just so that somebody with more experience could handle something that's obviously incredibly important, being on your hand or on your face or on your head. That's not something that we get requested enough to feel confident in, providing just for lack of experience. Not that we haven't done it here and there. It's just there's certain people who want, much more extensive work that we feel more comfortable sending them off somewhere else. So, and plus people are happy to get that work. We send them to our friends in other shops. And not sure if they are a break. What is it?
They're on a break or my feed froze. I think your feed froze, yeah. Carson.
Most likely. We are almost done though. We did an hour and we thought it was going to be like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's usually how this goes. So what? Yeah. So guys, thank you so very much. We're going to sign off and we're going to see you next week, right? We're going to see you guys next week.
Hump Day Q&A.
Hump Day Q&A. Ask your questions and we'll answer them. So do it through Instagram, through Facebook, or here on the feed when we're live. We're going to be doing this again next Wednesday. We will have the lovely Fel with us and
the lovely Josh.
The lovely Josh, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So thank you guys. Have a good Wednesday. Thanks for your participation, and we are out.
Bye.